Hi guys, my name is Catherine and I am back with another book related video, and today I'm going to be talking about Karin Slaughter's BlindSighted. And as always, please like and subscribe to my channel. As you can probably see, my voice is a little different. I am sick. I am feeling a lot better, but however, I still have that sound of not feeling well. But I wanted to get this video up because I finished the book and I wanted to talk about it while it's still fresh in my mind. Okay, so with this book, we follow Jeffrey Tolliver, Sarah Linton, and Detective Lena Adams. In this book, it starts out with Sarah, who is a pediatrician, and she's also the coroner in a small town in Georgia. And she goes to meet her sister for lunch. And when she goes to the bathroom to wash her hands, she finds a woman in the bathroom bleeding really badly, and her chest, like her stomach area, was cut into a shape of a cross, and she was bleeding out, and she also had been raped. And she tried to help her, but she ended up passing away. And you find out later that it is Detective Lena Adams' twin sister, Sybil, who was killed. And this is where the story kicks off. Lena is, she's an interesting character. I've had, reading the first book, I do have a few issues with her. She is not very sensitive, especially when it comes to Sarah. She is tough, which is, I think, because she's one of the only female detectives in the small town of their police station, and a lot of cops in that police station don't like a woman on the force. So that changed when Jeffrey became the chief and promoted her to detective. And Jeffrey was one of the main people who helped Lena become such a good detective. But in this book, there's also some trigger warnings I want to talk about. In this book, it talks about rape, and it talks about kind of like how certain people see victims kind of like blaming the victim. And even there's one part in this book where Lena kind of blames the victims, and which is kind of one of the reasons why I didn't really care for her, because she told Jeffrey, it's the victim's fault for basically what happens, and I really disagree with it. So did Jeffrey, which is Sarah's ex-husband. And I don't know, like, this book, I mean, it has some really good points, and sometimes with Karin Slaughter books, they can be a little bit graphic, especially when it comes to like the sexual assault and things like that. It is this book wasn't as graphic because I read like Pretty Girls, which was very graphic. This one was a little bit on the graphic side, but not that bad. I feel like Sarah's character, she is also a very strong woman, but she also has a very compassionate side, because obviously when you work with kids, you have to have compassion and patience, and Sarah has all of those things, which Sarah was one of the characters I can really relate to, just because with my job you have to have a lot of compassion too, so kind of see the similarities. And with Jeffrey, so I like his character, however, I don't like what he did. So in this book, Jeffrey used to be married to Sarah. Obviously not anymore, they're not together anymore. And the reason why was because Jeffrey cheated on Sarah with someone in town, and she caught him in the act. So, I mean, and she obviously has to work with him, so she tries to keep a professional relationship with him. But I think it's really hard to keep, especially when you used to be married to someone and there's so much hurt in that situation. But on a few parts of this book, she kind of snaps at him, which I think for me was a little bit kind of funny. And also with Lena, she kind of starts to blame Sarah for her sister's death, especially when she comes into the morgue to see her sister. So, I mean, I can understand a lot of people grieve in a different ways, but I can also understand that Sarah was trying not to start anything with her just because she just lost her sister. So I can understand Lena being so difficult, I can say, but there's other things that happen in this book that happens to Lena that I wouldn't wish on a character. So it's kind of like you like her, you kind of don't. It just really depends on the person. But I don't like what happens to Lena in this book just because she is, even with her fault, she is a really good detective. And I feel like she fights to find out who did this to her sister. Even when Jeffrey tries to keep her out of the investigation because she's the victim's relative. And there's also, her sister was also a lesbian, and Lena didn't really like that part of her sister. And it really kind of shows in the book. And I think that's kind of one of the other reasons why I didn't really care for Lena, just because she didn't really support her sister on that relationship. And she treated her sister's girlfriend very badly and just not very nice. So that was one of the main issues I had with Lena. But this book is so amazing. Like, I loved it. Like I said, there are trigger warnings with rape. And also it talks about kind of how when someone's in a situation that is raped and when they're drugged, how their body just kind of betrays them. With thinking like they're having pleasure and they're really not. They're which is one of the reasons why this book kind of gets into, especially in the second one, gets into a lot of like the victims and how they cope and deal with things. But I like with Karin Slaughter, just because once the mystery is solved, the book, it just doesn't end. There's I think this one was like a few days after, and they talk on how like Lena was doing and how, you know, the complicated stuff of this case and who did it. And also Sarah was also attacked by this person who hurt Lena. And I think with Karin Slaughter's books, you're gonna have to have a little bit of a stronger stomach when it comes to certain things, like with the graphic stuff. But I really enjoy this book, and I want to give it 5 out of 5 stars. There are, like I said, there's a few things with this book that I kind of didn't care for, which was mainly Lena, just because the way she acted. She was kind of like homophobic, and that was just kind of like, I mean, you really had to read between the lines to pick that up, but I picked it up kind of very quickly. But as like this, like, I really enjoyed this book, honestly. And I think if you don't mind a mystery that has a really gruesome way that people are killed. And it also has, like I said, this book also talks about rape and things like that. So I feel like if you're not easily triggered, you'll be fine. But if you are, I don't think this is the book for you. Yeah, I really enjoy this. I would recommend it. But as I said, trigger warning on this one. So, as always, please like and subscribe to my channel, you guys. And I will be back with another video on Kiss Cut, which is the second book in the Grant County series. So, please like and subscribe. You guys have a safe and happy day. Bye.